the postures of the movements are like separate. And you have to realize that each posture means an opportunity to abort and go to a different thing. In other words, they're all separate ideas. Now that is in keeping also with Shaolin or any other martial art. In other words, because these are whole ideas. You gotta realize, some of the movements are more than one whole idea. So when you do the movements, you have to still keep those ideas whole. For instance, and some of them are a little bit concealed. They're not even actually spoken of. But there isn't any standard kind of thing, I think, that breaks down all the things into their respective postures. For instance, there are lots of things that have really a pull as part of the technique, but they're not broken into like pull and split or pull and ward off. Like for instance, ward off left. You ask people, what's the posture there? Oh, it's just one posture, ward off. Well, by that they mean it's one martial idea. So, because technically the pull and the go together, right? In terms of ideas, pull and strike, right? Now, on the other hand, something like Fair Lady, okay, really contains two ideas. First idea is this. Next idea is this. Okay, you don't just go, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. You have to have those ideas very separate. I did this, and this got interrupted somehow. This is broken. So this is nothing but a high ward-off. In fact, it's exactly the same as ward-off left, except that it's here, right? Yeah. Now, technically, of course, in terms of an application, it's wherever it needs to be. But in terms of a form, you want to say, well, what's the highest it could be? Highest it could be is the highest you can raise your elbow without raising the shoulder, and then put the arm at a 45-degree angle. And that's as high as it is. And you should be able to look under it. It shouldn't be in front of your eyes. In other words, if I just like this, now it's here, I have to stretch this to feel like. That's why I think some of these things feel like yoga stretches. They all look like you're just kind of going, oh, I'm kind of doing like this. But they shouldn't feel that way. Like this one feels like you couldn't possibly raise your arm any higher. Right? It isn't just sort of casually putting your arm up there, because you're just raising your shoulder a little bit. Right? So you want to keep that shoulder completely down. So same with a thing like stepping backwards. This is like as far as I can step back anatomically without breaking my back, just step back. Or, of course, just tipping forward. I can do that. But you should feel that limitation. You shouldn't feel like you're just you might step all the way to here, but instead you just sort of step to here. No, you're stepping as far as you can possibly step and still not screw up. And here you're raising your arm as far as you possibly can. And in fact, when you do this, you're reaching as far as you can possibly reach without losing the Chen Jing. So there are a lot of them are, extreme stretches. Now, the thing that Tai Chi has that these other martial arts don't have is they segment even those postures into smaller pieces. In other words, you could break this down into pull and split. And for a regular martial artist, you couldn't really interrupt that in the middle in any kind of, how can I put it, scientific way. He would just in other words, that's the sense in which these other martial arts are broken. They're broken also in terms of ideas. Like I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. It gets interrupted completely and sort of start over. But the idea of Tai Chi is you're inserting Taijis into this equation. And the Taijis are like continuous. It's weird. It's kind of like, you think of the regular martial arts ideas as digital, sort of, because they're exact pieces. Now, the more pieces you have, the more it becomes a smooth curve. And that's the way you make a circle, right? It's divided into so many pieces. So,
Riemann sums.
Yeah, so in other words, if I'm attacking Joe and he blocks me here, okay, like I could think, oh, okay, this has been blocked, now I go to this. Sorry. In other words, those are two whole ideas. Block, I block, and I strike here. But if I don't have to break in it, then I just say, when he touches me, something else happens, and this might happen. right? In other words, I have something besides another complete idea to put in there. I have an idea that's, in other words, a complete idea is like this. I have an idea that's like this big. It's just like, it's just a tiny, but I keep continuously having this idea. In other words, continuous change. This is like, boom, boom, one big change. So I want it to be, boom. How many changes is that? It's like smooth. In other words, instead of being broken. So, but I say, at least you have to see what the Shaolin people would see, which is that each one of these things is broken into, each one of these movements is broken into at least these clear postures. So, as I say, when you have a partner, then you have a mechanism by which you can adjust, kind of like analog. You have an analog adjustment instead of like click, click, this kind of digital step-by-step thing. You have this analog thing that continuously changes. But it can't continuously change if you need an idea. But you don't need an idea. You have a Taiji. The Taiji is, the Taiji substitutes for your idea. That's the whole idea of the yin-yang sign surrounded by the trigrams. That you just apply the yin-yang principle and it evolves these ideas. So you don't have to go from one idea to the next idea in this broken way. You just say, what am I doing? Oh, that's what I'm doing. It's like slowly dawns on you what form you have, okay? But at least I think in the form, we should break these into two pieces, break this into as many pieces as there are. So this one definitely has ward off. And then the idea that your ward off is, he's gonna punch me in the head and I'm gonna try to block it, okay? But he's gonna be a little stronger than that. Now when I say stronger, I don't mean faster. And I don't mean try to hit me before I can react. I mean just make it, just stronger. So here, right. So it overpowers me. Boom. So this is my, so in other words, the whole concept is that this doesn't make it. Now, we used to, Margaret asked Mr. Jew about these pictures that showed, I think it was Zhang Jingling, I think it was, back like this, and Yang Zhengfu like this. And we said, what form is this? And he said, Fair Lady. I said, what? I thought Fair Lady looked like this. And he goes, well, you don't understand. Yang bigger than everyone else. Stronger than everyone else. Fatter than everyone else. Heavier than everyone else. So when people punch him, he's like this much bigger in the first place. And when he blocks, it just blows the people away. Because the punch much stronger than that. So you're just willing to give this up. Yeah. But if you punch really hard, so the concept of the move is that he's stronger than you, but nobody was stronger than Yang, so you never saw that. So that was a picture of Fair Lady. I thought that was quite funny. Anyway, that's an example of something you sort of have to know some kind of esoteric thing to be able to interpret a picture like that.
So the picture was after he had already been.
Yeah. He had been discharged, but he never showed the full form because he just showed the first posture instead of the second posture. So the idea is, like I said, this is overpowered and you just roll under it. But you're making a taiji also. So you could just think of it as a broken thing. In other words, he attacks me, boom. This is the Shaolin way. And that's what they practice. You go to the school, they go like, hey, huh, huh, huh. They practice that thousands of times. So this gets really strong. And this is really strong. But we just touch it and it says, whoa. It makes a taiji. Taiji ends up here. So from here, I'll come back, turn here. This is not the way the form is. Just turn to here. And then do it again. You want to break it into pieces you could smooth out later. First, you retreat 100% to this leg. Turn it so this toe is facing the other toe. Then technically you shift your weight and then turn on the toe. Step. As you shift the weight to the middle, ward off goes up. And then just overpower and you roll out and make a taiji this way. Now come back. Turn the toe back so it faces the other toe. Right. And then this hand should coordinate with the elbow. Then Step over here. Now, still 100%. As you shift to the middle, board up. Then take over with the right leg. And now, if you're careful about your foot positions, now remember, the external rule is made to coordinate with the room and the floor. The internal room coordinates just with you. The rule you're learning is that you can turn that much. You can't turn that much. Because that's an awkward position. This is not. You can control this. So that is what you're actually showing. That's the internal thing. Doesn't matter which way you're facing. That's what you can do. So if you, like I say, if you control the position, then that coordinates with the room, and that makes it easier to teach. So if you're taking this to the corner, okay, this toe, even in the sort of newfangled, simplified thing, this is at least facing the wall. Okay? And it should be on the same line as the heel. See, mine isn't quite now. So watch what happens. Take a look. That's my actual correct move, but my foot isn't quite straight. Ooh. See, to be straight, you would have to go past this limitation.
Right.
So this is why, this has to be here. Now it's okay. So you've got to step in such a way that when you turn this in, it's on this line, so that when you come back, then you have this straight line here. That's what causes, the footwork to become sort of simplified.
Just to be clear, so this straight line, when you turn that, it has to be perpendicular to the wall, and it just so happens it points to the toe too.
Well, that's the point. In other words, if pointing to the toe is the same thing as pointing to the wall, it means your heel has to be in line with the toe in the first place.
Right.
That's kind of logic, sort of first grade or kindergarten logic, right?
Draw a line that intersects.
All right. So, like I say, if you want to simplify it, especially when you're teaching it, make sure that you follow this other rule that Jiang Xing said. But see, this is like getting to be real silly rules in the sense that they don't really describe anything internal. But he used to say, just make sure your toe and your heel are on the same board here. And of course, when you're going this way, you have to sort of pretend there's a board there. But when you're here, they can actually see the board. So, there. So that means I'll be able, when I do this, this will be such that now when this goes around, I can make this maximum step here, and this will be, same board. Yeah. And we will go back this way, and so forth. So now, strangely enough, anatomically speaking, if I'm doing all this other stuff that we just did right, and I open this quad maximum, and this quad maximum, and I don't also turn this toe out. And so I just, firstly, it's just quad here, boom, and now this turns in. Did you catch this, Joe? Don't miss this part. This is the important part. Because I can't do it like this. This has to turn in myself. You don't turn it in like this. The knee goes out to its maximum, and the toe turns in at the ankle. Then you have the right position. Oh, wow. So that will work. So play around with it until that happens. But it should be, approximately your maximum thing. Now, if you feel like you can step farther, which you sort of did there, it actually means you're stepping behind yourself. So be careful, don't do this. And then sort of turn around. So then it's like, what? Wow. No, think of it as completely straight. Here, now, how far will that go? And turn this in. That's right on. But those are maximum stretches.